Hello and welcome to episode 11. So, tonight's episode is going to be a little different. I don't have any guests, so I'm riding solo tonight, which is okay with me. But I got some interesting facts that I'd like to roll over with you. Tonight's episode is about kids and can they see ghosts? Adults see ghosts. Kids claim they see ghosts. So why not? We're going to talk about it. We're going to get started right now. Hello, everybody. Welcome. So like I said, tonight's episode is about kids and babies and vents seeing ghosts. Do they see ghosts? Or is it just, what a lot of parents put off as, seeing an imaginary friend? Which in a lot of cases is very true. Kids, their brains are a lot different than ours. They're structured a lot different. So their brains are actually 135% larger in proportion than an adult brain. So they have a little bit more of a vivid imagination and extended brain functions. In fact, they're able to shift from one brain wave to another state in just a matter of a split second. So it's a little hard for kids to distinguish between conceptions that are inner-based and those that are outer-generated. But this is definitely something that I know I experienced as a child. My parents never paid too much attention to it. They didn't, my aunt was, sensitive. She saw ghosts. And, me growing up, I can't remember way back when. And my green screen just came down. That is awesome. That about scared the living hell out of me. So, I guess I'm rolling without that tonight. But I saw them. I could see them today. That's the whole idea about why I'm involved in paranormal investigating. But not only just doing investigations, but also the research end of it. What actually happens, when spirits manifest themselves? Is there a difference between the weather, limestone, negative energy, things like that? But tonight is based on kids and them, seeing ghosts. And I got that up there with some pretty strong tape, and it just didn't want to stay up. I guess they want to be involved too, but yeah, it definitely worked. But toddlers and young children, their role with their own perception. Their own perception of life for the most part. Their brains see and they hear things that only they understand. So basically, they haven't, they really haven't experienced much in the world. So, if they see something if they know of a friend named, Jenny or James, they may start seeing an imaginary friend named James or Jenny. Now, most kids can distinguish the two, and they will let their parents know about that. Um, they will say, "Hey, I got an imaginary friend," um, and it's not something to really be alarmed about. They have unfiltered eyes, and they're not forced to believe one concept over another. Um, but this all ends when the adults in their lives, they start telling them what they want and, how they want them to think. If a child is told that ghosts and spirits aren't real, eventually, they're going to let it all go. But between the ages of 11 and 14, parts of the mind start to shut down. So, they start, they stop believing. But I got a story I want to share with you. And this was one of my guests that was supposed to come on tonight. She's from Tennessee, and she lives in Baltimore now. And she sent me a story. I believe I think she's at the doctor's with her daughter, but the story is about her daughter. So she wrote to me, and she said, "So my daughter has had instances since she was born. We're a long line of empaths, both in this world and with the spiritual world. When she was an infant, she would be inconsolable for hours and for no reason. Every time this happened, I would get a call that someone had passed or had been really hurt. I had heart attacks, and my friends had overdosed. So we knew she had got that empathy gene. Of course, I encourage and recognize these feelings as I was also encouraged. She's had night terrors since she was born, has recently started sleepwalking. A month after COVID, she started to develop an imaginary friend she named Lena. She says, I'm assuming that it was because she was missing her friends. I asked her if Lena was real, and she said no. I made her up. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where I said that children can have imaginary friends and they can also see ghosts or spirits. So she said, no, Lena, I made her up. The name came from a Scooby-Doo movie, Zombie Island. So she and I both know that Lena is imaginary, and I do encourage that imaginative behavior, which is good. Let your kids have imaginations, folks. Just because they see something or they say they see something or you see them play, let them play. Let them have an imagination. Doesn't make them weird or anything like that. That's what kids do. However, she says, there have been 3 instances so far where I found her talking to or about someone that she swears is real and will describe. She was talking to her bookshelf one day, and I happened to be passing by. She said, it's okay, the butterflies won't hurt you anymore. I asked her who she was talking to, and she said, Beatty. I asked where Beatty was and some identifying markers. She said she's a lady with gray hair, and she's scared of butterflies. I told her butterflies are nice, but she doesn't believe me. Another instance, she was talking to a wall in her room. It was inaudible, but I asked her again, who are you talking to? And she answers, this little boy. I said, what's his name? She says, I don't know. He won't tell me. Another time, I'm getting ready, and she comes into my bedroom, and she says, Mommy, come say hi to, and it says inaudible. I said, okay, and went into her room. She looked at me, looked at the wall. This is my mommy. She can help you. I asked her what I needed to do to help this person, and she said, never mind, and then went about playing. So I asked her, is this person like Lena? She said, no, Mommy. She's not made up. She's real. She's just too young to get enough information from at the moment. She will be 4 this summer, and these incidents happen between 2.5 and 3.5 years of age. So, folks, kids can distinguish between real and fake. You can't just shut them down and say, no, ghosts aren't real. Encourage it. Unless they seem physically harmed or they seem scared, encourage the imagination. It's a skill, it's a talent, it's a power that they have. And we just need to just lighten up and just go along with it. Some outgrow it, some don't outgrow it. Look at a lot of psychics, around the world. This stuff is real, folks. And, don't make your kids feel weird. Like if they say they see something, talk to them about it. Ask stuff. Maybe you could, maybe you could start seeing again too. You just got to stay calm about it. Talk to your kids. Keep an open line of communication, but be aware of your child's emotions. If your child seems to enjoy playing with his friendly ghost and they don't seem stressed about it, don't be too worried about it. It's not I guess it's not too big of a deal, but there's tons of stories out there, how they see them. Babies use more, children use more of their brain that allows them to see totally different. They're just studies. Like, I guess if you're not sure, I guess there's a couple ways you could tell if your kid is actually seeing ghosts. If your baby stares off, seemingly at kind of like, they're just staring off into no man's land. If you catch them playing with something, your child speaks about meeting or talking to people you haven't met, or if something scares them. And that's when you start to get worried. Like if your child refuses to go into a room or a certain space for no particular reason. That's when you start getting worried, folks. Brandon, you are absolutely right. And that does. And that's another true statement there, that dogs and cats also see the world differently than we do. Majority of them, just their vision alone, they're colorblind. Majority of animals, I don't know how true it is. I'm not a dog, but I've heard many vets say that dogs are colorblind. I don't know. I'm not a dog, but they're professionals, so I'm going to take their opinion. But like my dogs just randomly in the middle of the night will go over to either a door or they'll jump up and they'll look into the kitchen and they just start barking. What are you barking at? There is absolutely nothing there. Nothing there. Or is there something there? Is there something there that we don't see? And that's the same thing with kids. I kind of put them in the same category because none of us know what they can see. You can't see through somebody else's eyes. So for one, to tell somebody else, whether it's your child or not, that they don't see something, you don't know because you're not them. So be easy on it. Like when your dogs go and investigate it. Next time your dog barks at something, we're going to keep it on the dog topic because that's a good thing. The next time your dog barks at something and you yell, "There's nothing there," go look. Go look and see what they're barking at. Because you might walk over to a cold spot, or your dog may walk into another room or is afraid to go in a room. I'm not saying it's anything that you should be worried about, because I believe there's a lot more spirits that are just hanging around that you just don't know about. A lot of them may not make themselves known. I don't know much about the house that I'm living in, but I could tell you one thing. I have heard things. I have seen things move. I know I've placed my keys, and I lose my keys quite a bit. All right. The true statement, I lose my keys probably more than 30 households put together. But there are times that I know where I put them. I put them in a specific spot, and they're not there. But back to the topic at hand, with children, go easy on them. You know, you may scare them more than the spirit does, and then you're scaring your kid. You know, but try to figure out if it's real or if it's an imaginary friend, because there is a difference. If it's an imaginary friend, they got an imagination. If it's a ghost, I kind of want to know if there's a ghost in my house. But as I said, scientifically, and a lot of studies have been done on kids and, you know, what their brains go through. They, like I said, they use a lot more of their brain than we do. So that's why they can see a lot more than we can. But on the topic of dogs, go over and investigate it. You might find something in your house. Now, I don't know if dogs can have imaginary friends. That would be pretty cool, because then at that point you could buy one dog and, you know, he could just basically play with himself. So I'm gonna put this comment up on the screen, and Danielle says, my son has always seen ghosts and all sorts of stuff back in the days. We would talk about it. Now he's 23 years old. We went around and around about it throughout growing up. And he is on point as me as a mother. I'm a reader. I never shared with him when he was a little boy. It's such a great experience that we share now. My aunt used to share with me all kinds of stuff when I was a kid about her seeing ghosts. And it never really worried me. I guess growing up, ghosts really, well, for one, I enjoyed horror movies growing up in general. You know, all the Friday the 13th movies, all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, Michael Myers, Halloween, you know, name it, I enjoyed it. So it was, you know, nothing like that really scared me. And then hearing her stories that she would tell, and, you know, I would always, when she would start talking about stories, you know, I would always catch a shadow. You know, I would see like a shadow. I would hear different stuff. Now, me as a kid, at that point, I guess I just didn't know any better. I guess I was your average kid that just didn't, you know, put two and two together. Nobody really ever told me, hey, you could see ghosts. But it was more or less I saw things. Now, my aunt saw them. Now, my aunt, the one story that really stands out about my aunt was the time that she was engaged to my uncle. Now, they both have passed on. But she had been in her room with my uncle and my grandfather, and they were talking about getting married. And there was a split second of this happening. She had mentioned that she did, you know, she would get married to him. The door flew open to the bedroom at like Mach 5. It put a hole in the wall. I can still remember the hole actually being in the wall. And this white light came in and it like went straight to my uncle, and my uncle got like pale, like he turned white as a ghost, I guess you could technically say. And he had said that I've been given permission to marry you. Now, the only person at that point that had passed on was my grandmother, so I'm only assuming that that was my grandmother. Um, but like I said, this topic here scares a lot of parents because they just don't know what to do if their kid says, "I'm seeing ghosts." Now, if you're joining in on this podcast, the majority of you are into paranormal, into ghosts at some point in time in your life, or you are now. So you understand where I'm coming from as being involved with the paranormal. That when your kid comes and says something to you, you morally, I think, morally, cannot tell them that it doesn't exist, especially if you're involved in the paranormal. This is where you should educate your children. And that's my daughter and my stepdaughters always ask me, "Hey, can I go on the next investigation with you? Can I go film with you?" Uh, sure, absolutely. So I don't know if any of them have seen ghosts, but I wouldn't tell them no, it doesn't exist. It's kind of hard for me to say no, they don't exist. When I'm in this, area, that would just make me sound like a hypocrite. So I guess the moral of the story is embrace your kids with paranormal activity. I wouldn't say shun them away from it. But there are studies. I know there was one. I think there was an author. Let me look through my notes here. Let's see here. Let me find it. There was a book out about this type of situation, and I gotta find it in my notes. Yeah, I can find it, which is okay, which is pretty typical. Me not finding things because, like I said, I can lose my keys 1,000 times. As a matter of fact, I couldn't tell you where my keys are right now. But if anybody here wants to jump on and actually tell a story, I would love to hear it. I'll send you the link. And now, does anybody here have any animals that do the crazy things that my dogs do, where they just stare off into space and start barking? I know a lot of dogs, they bark at the littlest sounds because their ears are so much better than ours as well. So I don't know if every time that my dog does that, it's paranormal. But when they run into the room, like if they run into the kitchen and they're barking, and it's usually like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I wake up and I'll go into the kitchen and they're just like looking at one of the counters. Now we don't have mice. I've never seen a mouse here. Never seen a rat here. As a matter of fact, I ain't seen any bugs in here either, which is a good thing. But they do it. They don't do it all the time. It's not like every night at a certain time or every day at a certain time. But they do it. And it cracks me up because the first thing that I'll yell is, "Who are you barking at?" And usually they stop Mainly, I guess, because when you tell your dogs to stop barking, it's a good thing if they listen to you. But I don't know. I'd really like to see what they see. I mean, I like my vision. I like that I have their hearing because I could hear whatever my fiance is talking about in the other room. I know she was talking about me. She just walked over to the other room over there and she said, "Hey, do you see him? Can you see him? I hope you could see me because I'm sitting right here." And then she just told me to shut up and called me a derogatory name, which is pretty mean. If a ghost were to come and take her, he or she would probably come back and probably try to hurt me. Um, okay, that's interesting. I'm glad y'all can't hear what she's saying. She said, and I'll mark my words, if I could get up quicker than I could, I'd punch you in the throat. Now, why does she got to resort to violence? That's like demonic. That's like rude. She's like 8 months pregnant. She's that violent. Can you believe that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm correct. I'll correct myself. She's 9 months pregnant. 9 months. I don't know. She's like 36 weeks. What the hell's the difference? 8 months, 9 months. The damn baby's probably going to come out long before that anyway. So it really don't matter. Who cares? She could be. It feels like she's 30 months pregnant because this damn pregnancy is taking freaking forever. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Yes, this pregnancy. So I'm going to go off topic. She is 9 months pregnant, and this has been. We lost a baby last year in the beginning of the year, and we were told by the doctors at one point in time that there was absolutely no way we would have another child. Um, she has killer antibodies that basically recognize anything from me at this point in time. Y'all can get the drift. Anything from me as as something bad. So it gets rid of it. And she has 4 killer antibodies. So a couple months in, we had lost it. And it was a boy. Neither one of us have a boy. So we decided that we were going to try again, but we're going to have to do something serious. So we decided to go to Christiana Hospital, which is like Northern Delaware. And we saw a doctor by the name of Dr. Russell. He's a IVF specialist. And we had to do tests. I had to leave a sample in a cup, and so she did, left blood work and all kinds of stuff. And he said, "This is what we need to do. We can get pregnant. We're going to do this, 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 and this." Okay, well, we'll give it a whirl. Now, this is where it comes into play of whether or not you believe in God or not. Because I can tell you one thing: if you're not a believer, this story is absolutely, made me. I've always believed in God, but this one definitely took the cake and pushed it. If I wasn't before, I am now. So we had to do a what they call a trigger shot, which basically triggers her to release her eggs. And then, boom, here we are, 9 months later. It is a boy. He is already a pain in the ass. He's not even born yet, and he's already punished. But we have to do, she was on at one point in time like 6 different medications, a needle every night. I've given her like 200 plus needles. And then coming up, it's going to be 2 needles a night. So, but anyway, that's completely off topic. But I will also introduce him into the paranormal world, without a doubt. If he starts seeing ghosts, I'm going to tell him all about it. I'm going to tell him about what his daddy does, what his daddy talks about. Now, if you don't believe in ghosts, and you feel like you need to distract your child from it, and you don't want him to see ghosts, that's your prerogative. But the one thing you've got to remember is you cannot make your child feel like a weirdo for doing it. If you want to distract them, fine. That's completely up to you. Some religions don't have beliefs on that. But even if you try to distract your child from seeing ghosts, if he sees ghosts, and he's telling you that he sees ghosts, and he's not bothered by it, let it go. You don't have to encourage him, but you don't have to discourage him. Because if you there's enough suicide going on in this world. And I'm not saying a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old is going to go commit suicide, but a lot of people are bullied for their beliefs and how people make them feel. Make them feel weirdos or make them feel ugly or something like that. And to me, that's not morally right to make your child feel awkward. For him telling you, or for her telling you how they feel, when it's just what's going on. Like as they get older and they start talking to themselves, are they really talking to themselves? A lot of people count that as, a mental disability, or they're crazy. Are they? Are they talking to somebody, or are they talking to nobody? Can you see what they see? That's my whole point in this. You cannot see what anybody else can see. Only you can see what you see. So if somebody says they see something, then they see something. I know as an EMT, I've been an EMT for 22 years, and I've been on hundreds of calls where people claim to see the devil, or they claim to see demons. First off, the last thing you want to do is tell them no and to piss them off. That is the last thing you want to do. So what do? I'll tell you what I do. I go along with it for the ride. I don't know if they can really see it. They say they could see it, then they could see the demon. I'll ask them, what are they doing? Where are they at? What do they look like? Can I help you with them? Make that person feel comfortable. Be nice to everybody. Now I'm going on a totally different soap rant. Jump up on my soapbox. Talk about being nice to people. I don't know. But if anybody has any stories they want to share with me about seeing ghosts, about their kids seeing ghosts, Mark says, my grandfather used to get accused of dementia because he used to sit in his easy chair and talk to no one, laugh out loud. And I believed he was talking with someone. You know what, Mark? There's absolutely a good chance he very well could have been talking to somebody. It falls into the whole play of, unless you're in this person's body and you could see exactly what they see, you don't know what they're seeing. So remember this, when you go out and you go to the store, anywhere, Walmart, Kmart, Under Armour, I don't know, anywhere, and you see somebody talking and there's nobody there. Well, first thing, what's really confusing is now people have them earbuds that you can shove into your brain and you can't see it, and they're talking on the phone And you're like, hey, yeah, I know you. And they're like, no, I'm talking on the phone. So, I've been fooled by that quite a few times. Walking in, and you're like, oh, hey, what's up? Hey, oh, you're on the phone? Where's your phone? Oh, it's inside of your brain. What the hell? Yeah, I've been duped on that a couple of times. But you don't know. So, moral of the story is if your kid doesn't feel threatened, then don't worry about it. Let them enjoy. Hell, this might be your chance to not have to worry about, if you don't want, have another kid. Because a lot of people have 2 kids just so that your kids have somebody to play with. But if your one kid has a ghost friend, that could be a good thing. Because you ain't got to worry about it. Having another kid just so they got somebody to play with. They got one right there. I was one of 3, but my parents only had me. I had 2 older half brothers. I think I was a mistake, but you know, uh, you never know. But anybody any questions? I might be able to find something in here. Probably not. Nobody wants to hear me rant on about just nothing. But I do want to tell everybody, Paraflix has dropped. Paraflix dropped on the 21st. PARAFLIXX.com. Go to Paranormal in the Funhouse. He's got some good deals for you. The gentleman that was in here, Brandon Crotty, he's with Fun Uniform. He's also got a show, Paranormal Funhouse, that's actually on Paraflix. So go over there, check it out. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm out of here. Have a good night, folks.